All right, chat. I think we need to talk about tier lists and specifically the misunderstanding of the tiers within tier lists. So let's go and talk about this. So first, chat, before we talk about the misunderstanding of the placement of characters within tiers, we actually have to talk about what is exactly as a tier list. What is it trying to display to people that are trying to understand it? Well, essentially, a tier list at its base core level is supposed to be something where a person critically thought about each character's individual matchup spread. So basically, if we take Soul here, if we look at Soul, we will say, okay, how is Soul matchup versus Kai? And you do this for every single character. Like, how does Soul tools work versus this? If we see that, okay, Soul tools make it to where it's hard for Kai to win, then that could be a advantage matchup. Or we can say, okay, they both have answers for each other tools. That's an even matchup. The opposite way will obviously be, okay, Soul has a hard time as if versus Kai in this matchup, and then that would be a bad matchup for him. And then you do this for every single character, and then you have a character spread, and you will see the plus and minus for everyone. And depending on how much a character has, plus or minus or evens, or that will essentially put them on the tier list as relative to the others. So once you have that and you see like, okay, here's the average, here is where this character is. So say if you have like a character like Soul, if he had like, I don't know, say all advantageous matchups except for like 2, but then majority of the characters have like a bunch of evens, then clearly you can see that this character is better than the others. And that is essentially how a tier list is made. It's made from the thought process of the matchup spread of each character. Now, where do people start to misunderstand tier lists? Essentially, people really start to misunderstand tier lists when it comes to the actual placement of the letter grades themselves. As you know, whenever you've seen a tier list, you mainly see anything from like a D ranking to all the way to an S ranking, and sometimes a double S if a character really deserves it. But for the most part, you'll just see the D through S, and you sometimes don't even get down to the D. And a lot of people will tell you that this sort of placement is very relative to the type of game you're playing. Sometimes there are characters that are deserving of D ranks within games as if they're that bad. However, sometimes in games, you may see only go to a B rank or A minus or something. This essentially means that the characters are that closer together. So the letter grade does matter relative to the game you're playing. And a lot of people fail to understand that. So when people see tier lists for a game like this, and they see a character like, say, I don't know, Faust in like, I don't know, A minus or maybe a B, they automatically just think, oh, Faust is an unplayable character. Or they see Jacko down there. Oh, Jacko is an unplayable character. You cannot win with her. No, that's not what it means. What it essentially means is that this character tools compared to the others are just much harder to utilize, and she has a harder time. It doesn't mean she's a bad character. She can win in the game because her tier placement as a A minus or a B within that person's tier list is really high compared to a D. It just means her tools compared to others are just slightly disadvantaged, so she has to work a little bit harder. But getting her game plan started, she can definitely win. Now, if they were to put a tier list to where it was S to A minus, and then there was a one character that just went down to D, then that will let you know, oh, this character probably is that bad inside the game. If it just drops down that much from like S, A plus, A minus, and all of a sudden you just see like a C rank or a D rank or something, that will let you know, okay, this character relative to the rest of the cast is just that bad. They didn't even put him in B. They put him down in a C and D rank. They passed a whole letter grade to show how bad they think this character is. I know some people that don't think tier lists are good at all. They think they're all opinionated. Actually, a lot of tier lists are actually opinionated. Tier lists, like I said, are just your thoughts in a spreadsheet manner. That doesn't mean what you are thinking or how you feel about a matchup at that time is particularly correct. There are times, and it's very interesting to see the difference between, if you ever noticed, back in the day for sure, especially in like BlazBlue, there were a lot of difference between East and West Japan tier lists for BlazBlue. And the reason was because there were certain characters that were more prominent in the other region than the other. So they had a difference of opinion. They was like, oh, I don't think this character, you know, East may think, oh, I don't think said character is that good. And they probably don't have a player that's that strong with that character to prove it. But then East Japan or West or whoever it was has a person that's very strong with this character and can showcase this character at a high level. And they're like, oh no, we think this character is very good or pretty good, and this is where we're placing them. So it is opinionated based on people experiences, based on the level of play that they have played. So yes, there is opinion and matter. That's why, you know, you don't really take tier list to heart. You should never really take any person's tier list to heart, but you can think of a tier list as a way to engage and to start thinking about the matchups in a critically analysis way. Tier lists are very good for starting discussions. Yes, that is one thing. They're very good for starting discussions about the matchups and the high level depth that they can actually bring. So I would never write off tier lists for sure, but definitely don't take them to heart. Don't take anyone's tier list to heart. No one's, not even your favorite players. Just start thinking about the way they are looking at the matchups and try to think about the matchups for yourselves, and that should help you as far as understanding the message of what you can get out of each tier list that you see. So just to reiterate, there are some people that just misunderstand the tier placements within tier lists. Now, some games are going to have a much higher spread where you're going to see the list from D, possibly S or A take place. Like, there's some games where the tier lists are just that spread out, you know, especially in like some team games, like maybe like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you may see like a higher spread of characters. Like, I know they think like roll is really bad in that game and stuff like that. There may be some higher like spreads of characters inside of some other games as well. I don't know if BlazBlue is one of them, but BlazBlue definitely has like a decent spread of characters for sure. There's just some games overall that have bigger spreads than others, but as far as a game like Guilty Gear, every character is pretty much playable in this game. Every character can pretty much win a tournament. I think we already done seen every character actually win a tournament in this game, if I'm not mistaken, outside of Happy Chaos because he just came out. And maybe Jacko, maybe Jacko. If Jacko won a tournament, let me know. But I think Jacko and Happy Chaos are probably the only two characters that I have not seen won a tournament with actual people in it. Yes, Anji has won tournaments before. I've seen Loso win, I don't know, 2 tournaments. I've definitely seen him win a tournament before with Anji before. So characters have definitely been winning tournaments, and every character has a chance to win inside this game. Is there any questions about that one, chat? I think that pretty much covers everything I want to say about that. If you're on the YouTube, let me know how you guys feel about tier lists. Let me know how you guys feel about this explanation of tier lists and how the actual tiers actually matter within the tier list themselves. Let me know down in the comments below how you guys feel about it.